My name is Craig. I'm the engagement coordinator for ABandOfBrothers. Basically, I'll be the first to contact a young man who's interested in ABandOfBrothers. Generally, what that looks like is we set up a meeting. I'll go and introduce myself, let the young man know what ABandOfBrothers is. He can ask any questions and then we can take it from there. I've got a passion for this work because I've seen the evidence. I've seen men's lives change. It's a beautiful thing to see that. If I can play a part in that, then what a blessing for me. The identification there of being a lost, directionless young man speaks volumes in today's community. I think there's a lot of young men trying to make things up on their own and dealing with maybe some traumas or past experiences that have affected them. My role is to explain what ABandOfBrothers is. I always mention my own journey with the young men. I was in and out of prison when I was a young man. I got 2.5 years when I was 16. I got 6.5 years when I was 27. The turning point for me was in my 30s. I generally put my hand up and I needed help. Before that, there was a hell of a lot of, I know what I'm doing, leave me alone. Various incidences as a child, watching my mum and dad drink, fight, getting kicked out of the family home at 16. And just generally trying to work it out on my own until I was 27 and I'd had enough. And ever since then, I've kind of been putting that back together. And I kind of accidentally found ABandOfBrothers. I've been a painter and a decorator most of my life. I was doing a meditation course and some self-help stuff, and someone came along from ABandOfBrothers, and then I slowly got involved. I've engaged with young men that wouldn't make eye contact, they stare at the floor, they're really in a shell, depression. I always ask the young man, what is tangible? What is there something you could get out of this? And this young man once said to me, I just want to believe in myself, Craig. At the homecoming, he came up to me, threw his arms around me, and he said to me, do you remember what you said to me in the car around what do I want out of this? And I said, yeah, you said you wanted to believe in yourself. And he just looked at me and he said, I believe in myself today, Craig. And that, you know, that's priceless for me. I'll just keep doing this because I see so many lives affected, and the ripple effect of that is unreal. I've certainly found a purpose in my life. My daughter loves you guys from ABandOfBrothers. You know, it's so important for her to see other men like that. We run a monthly engagement group. It's on a Monday from 5 till 7 at Thornsdale, Albion Life. We've got a good relationship with a charity there, Albion Life. I really believe that a lot of young men don't feel part of a community. So putting on these work days and these groups helps them see that we ABandOfBrothers are part of a bigger community as well. And I really struggled with community aspects. You know, I always believed that on a Sunday, families were having a Sunday roast and everyone's happy, and I was out on the street doing all sorts of stuff. The only deal I can offer, certainly if I'm mentoring, is if you don't give up on yourself, we won't give up on you. And I know that can come across really hard. I've been in a place where I've given up and I've written myself off many a times. You know, when I was a teenager, I really didn't know what was going on. My behaviour was so off the wall. You know, eventually society had no option but to put me in prison, and rightly so, you know. But I was walking around thinking that's what real respect was. But no one knew my true heart. No one knew that I didn't want to be doing the things I was doing. I was trapped, I was compelled to do it. I feel there's a great divide between young people and older people, and in particular young men and older men. Even if the stories are not exactly the same, I dare say the feelings are going to be similar. So I feel a duty to stand up for my community. I feel ABandOfBrothers is so important in today's climate, where I'm seeing groups of young men self-destructing. And there's a part of me doesn't blame them to a certain degree. And I think sometimes it's the elders need to step up and maybe walk with them for a while.